Attack mode, we did it. We did it! Attack mode!
Welcome back to the daily upload on this channel. A few weeks ago, I was in North Carolina for their $5,000 Edison tournament, and we bubbled again, but on the bright side, they had a $1,000 side event on Sunday that we managed to get first place in, which means you guys get some content. 2 cards different compared to my World Championship qualifier list. We replaced Fader with a Threatening Roar and replaced Prodigy with an Upstart Goblin. Here's a rundown on all the other card choices that I often get asked about. 3 Caius, 1 Ryza. I did start off with 3 Caius, 2 Ryza, but then you run into way more spots where you lose with unsummonable Monarchs in hand. We also have Stratos, Maliage, Junk Synchron, Toad, and Swap Frog for normal summons. You never want a handful of normal summons, and this has been a standard ratio for a while now. Hero package, 2 Searchers, Junk to pair with Rhoda, 2 Swap Frog. I'm never going back to 3. You're already playing 3 Toads, which gets Swap Frog, 1 for 1, which gets Toad, which gets Swap Frog, 2 Treeborn, which makes swap unnecessary, 2 Dupe, searches for Swap Frog, and then we also have 2 other Swap Frogs we can draw. So how many Swap Frogs do you really need, like realistically? It's not like you insta-die if you don't open Swap Frog, since you have like 8,000 life points and other stuff like Soul Exchange Faders, and if you protect a hero for a turn, you contribute that as well. Only 2 Vanities, 3 is really clumpy, multiples in hand are often useless. Even having 1 in hand if there's a larger guy in the field makes it a dead card until you can find a way to clear it. A lot of times I'll side in 0 or 1 in matchups you'd expect it, like Plants, since Caius is way more versatile, and I'd rather be summoning Caius in more spots. I do bring in both versus Christiosaurn and Frogs because it hits those decks hardest. 1 Sirocco for Blackwings and potentially Gladbeast. I don't bring it in versus value, I just wanted a card that gets around DDV and couldn't think of something better. The other card we considered was a second Bottomless, but it's a lot more awkward to top deck Bottomless and Frogs compared to other decks because you can't always set Bottomless right after you draw it. Cards like Dyna, Gale, Blizzard, Kalut get underneath Bottomless and can make things awkward for you real fast. You don't want to lock your Treeborn. You also don't want to change monster to trap ratios too much. Breaker for Value Turbo, Gladbeast Macro, and random aggro stun decks. I made a video on that, check it out. I sided this in 5 of my matches of the 1K, 3 matches in the 5K, and although Torrential will normally be your MVP side card, Breaker was the MVP for this tournament. I drew it all day, top decked it in Sudden Death round 1, pluses there and pluses all day. +1 on a Raikou Prison board, +2 hitting a Dyna plus DDV board, +2 hitting a Dyna Prison board, forced to sell him in round 6, and then the very next turn I dropped a Caius on his face for the match. I was thrilled to see this all day. Snowman for Hero Beats, Blackwing, and random aggro decks. Smashing Ground outs Titanial, Vanity's Fiend, Machina Fortress. This replaced Super Poly. Now, one of the most commonly cited cards versus Frogs is Fossil Dyna, because it stops Treeborn, but another side effect of that is it stops Super Poly as well, which makes it really awkward to have Poly versus anyways. I personally bring this in versus Diva Hero, Plants decks like Amaryllis or Quick Draw, random token that are +1 or more. Mali plus Diva plus Gilman is 3 monsters, Titanial plus Tokens is a common spot, which is also 3 monsters, Drill Warrior plus Tokens is another common spot, which is another 3 monsters, and Needle Sealing does a great job of clearing all of that garbage off of the field. In round 3 versus Norler's Dragons, we had a face-up Dupe Frog on the field. The guy drops Dark Creator, Creator effect summon Red Eyes. Red Eyes effect summon Dark Horus from hand. We flipped the ceiling on him. The crowd goes wild, and then 10 hot girls gave me their phone number after it resolved. Torrential, always side this in, unless your versus like Burn or some other alt win. Easily the best card in the side deck. It turns out most decks summon monsters. Bottomless for Blackwing, Lightsworn, and other random rogue decks. 2 Prison. Fun fact, most decks use their battle phase and attacks to win. I bring these in versus pretty much everything, honestly. You can keep it in your hand until you see a threat, set it, and it doesn't lock your Treeborn, so yeah. If you get the feeling that your opponent's going to go for a push during their turn, you can set it preemptively and then save yourself some life points. 2 Compulsory for Zombies, Diva Hero, and random Synchro decks. No DD Crow in this list. I think DD Crow is the most overrated card in the format. Let me know if you want a video on that. 2 Dust Tornado versus Blackwing and Value Turbo, Oppression, Rug, Whirlwind, kind of scary cards. We also have Rye Breaks, so that's why it's only 2 instead of 3. I often get messaged about what I side in and out for each matchup with my lists. My lists have won a decent chunk of tournaments, including US Nationals, RBETs, a bunch of 8-man Win-A-Mat pods, random local tournaments, and I helped with winning Italian Nationals and RBET rulers. If you want to see exactly how I side with this list, or my very famous Value Turbo list, while also supporting this channel, Patreon is the way to go. For $9.69, you can learn exactly how I side with my lists, and save yourself tons of hours of trial and error. For a locals entry fee, you get de facto Most Successful Players Side Guide, which will pay for itself after a single top 8 in any medium-sized tournament. I can't guarantee you'll top your next event. You still need luck on your side, and you still need to play well. What I can guarantee is that your chance of winning will be higher than if you didn't have the info. Like and subscribe.